Okay, hello everyone. My name is Megan Hess. I'm here to talk about one of the projects I'm working on with Fotrec called Cardano Governance Exchange. The QR code here is a link to just the IdeaScale link. I'll put it up again at the end if you want, and I can post it in the chat when I'm done presenting. But I wanted to just share with you all today. I've come into Catalyst Africa Townhall a couple of times lately from just different things I've been involved with in governance, especially around the DREP process. So I'm excited to talk to you about something else that we're thinking about in governance. And I'll just get started. So next slide. All right, so the problem we're trying to address here is around the just general Cardano governance and thinking about how DREPs lack effective decision-making processes. Despite safeguards, traditional voting systems are known to produce outcomes that do not maximize a community's welfare. So many of you have heard me, I'm sure, and probably have associated Fotrec with being big advocates against one coin, one vote system that is prevalent within Cardano and Catalyst. So next, I'll talk about our solution. Which is really about creating a governance marketplace where community members pay a fair market price for influence. So vote pricing for decisions would scale quadratically instead of, one coin, one vote. And then this is the extra component, are redistributed evenly after the final vote. So this is something that we've been thinking about a little bit. It's one of the biggest things that we've sort of been promoting against one coin, one vote is, would this kind of a thing work? So this proposal is really about taking it one step further, actually trying it out. We've done a lot of the research and looked at kind of the literature analysis of it. But what's really missing is to actually do this in practice and get some more experimental data behind it to see whether it would work or not. All right, so here is the main team working on the project. We have myself as the project lead. Many of you know Dr. Kenrick Nelson, who is the owner of Fotrec, founder of Fotrec. He'll be a significant advisor on the project. And then we have a few developers who are working with us. So just to explain, quadratic voting a little bit, and we're not referring to it as plural voting because it's more about the ability to support a plurality of sub-communities within a large ecosystem. So essentially how it works is instead of, your vote, voting and having one sort of vote point per coin, you actually can delegate different amounts of coins to each vote. So we actually ran an experiment recently within Fotrec to start testing this out. And what this project would look to do is to expand that research and test it with wider communities. But we did one small vote where we had 6 different options to vote on, and we had 5 people voting. And we didn't give any background for how you needed to vote. It was just, let's decide. What was on the table was a donation to a stake pool. And so we had reached out on Twitter for some different options of organizations that we should consider. Based on those 6 organizations that came up, 5 of us in the leadership team cast our votes, meaning we paid ADA to an address. And then we designated within the metadata of how our vote was to be split. So 100 ADA going towards option number 1 and 50 ADA going towards option number 3. So what that means, if I had designated 100 ADA to option number 1, it would have given me the square root of that. So 10 votes for option number 1. So it was an interesting experiment. I think we learned a lot. how this is the slide that's missing, unfortunately, from what you have, and what I'm not able to share right now is kind of the tally of how those votes worked. But so we voted in this way, and then votes were tallied, and then an immediate payment was then returned to everyone. So the total amount of ADA collected, there was 10% that was reserved for the administrative fee of actually doing kind of handling that manually. And then everything was just equally split back between all of the voting wallets. So there was an immediate return on the vote. So that's kind of just an overview of how it works, what we're looking to do. And I think I'm running out of time, so I just want to maybe pause there, say thank you all for letting me talk to you today. And if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them.